quite often you had two tight ends to one side, and sometimes you'd even put Tongue out there on the same. I mean, that's a lot of power on one side of the line.
Yeah, and I go back to especially those two tight ends of Teagan and Luke. Those guys can catch it, and obviously Teagan had the early touchdown, but they can be physical, and they're over 250 pounds, and we try to do that on the edge of the defense, and that's why I go back to this run game. The O-line gets some love, which is well-deserved, but the tight ends are a huge factor in that.
You think that was maybe the best offensive line performance you've had since you took over here? I mean, no tackles for loss, the running success, it was just complete dominance, really.
Yeah, they played well. Coach in his year 4 now, but best performance. I mean, statistically, really solid. We told the team yesterday. That's why we try to have a lineman of the week. Well, it's tough to separate those 5 guys. When you mentioned you rush for that kind of production and eliminate the negative plays, no sacks. They played pretty well.
And on the other side of the ball, holding USC under 100 yards rushing. Statistically, you've got the number 2 rushing defense in the conference right now. How about the improvement from the front 7 as opposed to this time last year in that department?
I thought they did do a good job in that because that would have been a problem if SC comes in and the ability for them to run the ball, to marry that up with their explosive pass game. Did a good job at the line of scrimmage. And then it's team football. I mean, you get a couple score lead, then it takes away the opportunities for them to be consistent running it. So that was a really good thing.
What does that say about the offense, maybe the O-line specifically, when you take a jump up in competition, but you're still able to run the ball the way you did against the previous 2 opponents, and you average more than 6 yards a carry?
Yeah, I think, because that was a good defensive front and really a good defensive scheme we were playing. We did create some one-on-one matchups to tackle, and BJ and Deshaun did a good job of making the first guy miss. And so each week's going to be different. This defensive front we're headed toward is really good against the run in particular. I mean, their stats I think are skewed off of just one football game out of the 4. These guys are going to be a challenge.
So then looking forward to this week, who kind of gets the responsibility of making sure you don't have a letdown against Washington?
Well, it starts with me, but ultimately I go back to this leadership on this team. These guys are well aware how long football games are, how it's not easy to win. And, it takes great preparation, and I'm confident these guys will be back to work tomorrow.
The penalties on the defensive side of the ball, did you think they were all legitimate penalties after watching them?
After watching them, yeah. I think they could be called without question. We got to tighten up where our hands are at ultimately. Some of them even just in coverage, it starts from the ground up and with our feet and where we're in transitioning and things. And then I think we got to continue to learn as the game goes on how they're calling this thing. And so we got to learn from that. And I think we got better in the second half of knowing that they're going to call it if our hands are on them.
In regard to Alex Austin, he obviously got hit a number of times, but you kept him out there, or Tim kept him out there. Do you think he learned a lot out there, and what it showed the confidence just keeping him out there?
What it showed was really himself, looking him in the eye, knowing that we asked him to be physical, and at the same time it got to the point where they were going to target 15 and do it a lot. We felt like we can win the game if they're going to sit there and do that. Alex didn't shy away, got up next play and reloaded and went, and he's earned that opportunity to continue. And everybody's going to have a bad play here or there in the game, and we felt he continued to be our best choice over there.
And another question in regard to where Rajon, is he only playing on one? He does the one corner, so you couldn't have switched.
We could have. They can play left and right either side. We did feel like Alex match up and where they were playing 15 was a dynamic receiver. The skill set of Alex we felt okay with. In regards to that, and Ray, where he was at, I thought Ray played really well. Obviously could have had multiple picks, had the one early, was huge for us. So there were some conversations, but again, didn't feel like adjustment was needed.
Coach, on a ruling, the onside kick that Bradford recovered and started to return, what is the rule on that?
Yeah, you can return, but we actually teach our guys, and I couldn't find it on tape, but if it takes an initial hop way up in the air, you can fair catch that. And we actually talk to our guys about throwing their hand in the air so it turns into a fair catch. You can't advance it. I think that's what took place. I'll be honest, I asked those guys right on the side, we can't return that. He says, the official told me, I don't know, I'll check on it. And then I never got word back because the game continued to transition.
So you still don't know officially. Is he trying to say somebody called?
That's
for a
my
fair catch?
assumption, what they called. I haven't checked it, like I said.
Any update on Hodgins? Is he getting closer? Or?
I think he is getting closer, but not for this week. He hasn't practiced, gotten back, but he's rehab and he's working to. It's really about healing, and he's not close.
Nolan, he's obviously done a lot of good things, but I'm going to pick on one. The interception he threw in the first quarter. Was he was trying to throw that away, wasn't he, and just didn't, or?
He actually is throwing it to complete it to Bradford, and so he's not throwing away, and that's why he kept it kind of inbounds. We'd have loved him to throw it all the way out. The guy made a good play. Go back to hands and whatnot. I think Bradford gets grabbed a little bit, and that's why the ball was where it was, and the DB makes a really nice play.
I thought he was trying to throw it away, so that's why.
Yeah.
He wasn't. So what were you guys able to do yesterday? Coming back late, did you get to practice at all?
We didn't because again, props to DVD and Britt on you're finding out all of a sudden the pilot can't make it at midnight. I thought actually there was some benefit. I think the guys rested better. We got back to a hotel. Everybody had a bed and a room and slept. We got back. I think it was Corvallis about 3:30. Had the band out and some fans. It was awesome. We had a quick team meeting, kind of recap the game. Had some position meetings, a meal, and went home.
What about the Washington? What do you expect from what you've seen on film for this year's installment of them? Their quarterback, it looked like they've kind of righted the ship from the early part of the year.
Yeah, I think they are. I think they're a physical, well-coached, disciplined team. Offensively, they give you some variety of personnel sets. They can get a bunch of tight ends in there and mash the football. They played more in the open sets last week in regards to 3 receivers. Quarterback's decisive, smart, accurate with it. Doesn't beat themselves. The quarterback with his decisions and things. They got multiple running backs that are a threat. They got a great wildcat package going. Even last week was really effective for them. Then you flip it on the other side. Defensively, good athletes. DB last week. 2 huge picks, great tackle on 4th down. And they can do a great job at the line of scrimmage.
This will be the 4th time you've coached against the Huskies since leaving that staff. Is there maybe as much weight to that connection that you have with that school now as opposed to maybe the first time you coached against them?
Probably not as much weight. With Coach Pete not being there, there's still multiple coaches on that staff that I know really well. Got a bunch of respect for those guys. Look, I enjoyed my 4 years in Seattle. There's a few players that were still on that team, with the COVID, majority not now. But it's a great place, similar to what I'd say about every school in this league. I think the Pac-12 is really cool that way. Everybody's a little bit unique, has some great things about their university or their program or the coaches. And so it's lessened, I would say, going into year 4 of it. Thanks, guys.